Welcome back. Let's get on to the second segment of our time together on business modeling. Our time is now going to be devoted to how we can assure your organizational success. And we will use a tool that most strategists require you to be able to put in place. In fact, even bankers would require you to be able to look into this. What are your strengths, your weaknesses, and what are the opportunities and threats that the external world is presenting through to you? And I'm going to encourage you to be able to work from the outside in instead of from the inside out. Most organizations look at their own strengths and their own weaknesses only to find that the opportunities in the world out there have changed so much that the strengths they had are irrelevant. Therefore, be deliberate about working from the outside in. Check what is coming in the world that you're functioning in. What are the threats that may very well be shown up right now that if you have not developed internal strengths and competencies, you would find very difficult to navigate? It is critical to be able to pay attention to all four areas, starting from the outside in. At the start of this century, Jim Collins released the book Good to Great. It was seminal. It addressed itself to key factors that distinguish organizations that are good from those that are great. He drew some insights from Aristotle, who during the times of enlightenment spoke to the fact that good stood in the way of excellent. In there, he then introduces the concept of the hedgehog. And during these times of disruption, it becomes all the more important for us to be able to consider these three key elements. Key quality number one is to simplify complexity. The business world is becoming all the more complex. When you can come up with a silver bullet of simplicity, you are guaranteed business into the future. Second is to confront the brutal facts. What we have gotten in the last year as a result of COVID-19 is our ability to appreciate whether or not our business is actually essential to the economy. Luxury businesses have not been able to survive that much further. Your challenge is to be able to confront the brutal facts around your own business. The exercise that you engaged in the previous segment are following, as it were, the 4-action framework, where you begin to look into things that you need to eliminate, reduce, and what you need to raise and create. That helps you in confronting your brutal facts. Finally, you want to exercise sound business judgment. You want your enterprise to continue because you have brought in wisdom, as it were. A good many of you indicated that you want to grow your enterprise. If you are to be able to do that, you may want to be able to look into your hand and identify these 5 key factors as going to help you in determining the potential of successfully navigating the storm, even in the light of COVID-19 and what will come hereafter. Ask the first question: what is trending in the marketplace. When we have our discussion later on the business model, there will be at least 9 new business models that have been brought through because there is a realization that the business model we've heard aren't yielding the results that they should. You also want to be able to ask, secondly, what opportunities have arisen in the marketplace that you can exploit? Thirdly, you want to ask yourself, how are you positioned in the marketplace so that people get to be able to contemplate and consider you when those opportunities arise? Fourthly, you need to be able to understand that you are perfectly aligned for the results you are currently getting. Therefore, consider, are you aligning your business to where you want to take it to? Or is it going to become well prepared for the world that no longer exists? Finally, you may want to be able to start looking into what are the key competencies, core competencies of your organization and capabilities that you need to hire into your company so as to be able to be truly a trendsetter and a successful business person who may very well be an industry standard bearer. As you grow your business, it is important to be able to check how the environment is really shaping up. Every strategy conversation has what has often been referred to as a pastel analysis. While that has been good, I have found it necessary to be contemporary and address 2 additional factors that do not appear in pastel. And I have reframed this in a manner that I'm presenting through to you called Stipple HD. The starting point has got to be what's happening in the social space. It is vital to be able to think about the social elements because the changing lifestyles have a bearing on how your business is going to fare in industry and it will fare amongst your competitors. If we don't pay attention to how people are shifting what it is that they buy and warm up towards, we will find ourselves with products and services that aren't going to be purchased and therefore that will create problems for us. We might find ourselves going belly up in terms of our businesses. The technological aspect has become almost vital. Even this process of learning is happening with the aid of technology. One of the key questions, therefore, that we need to be able to ask is what's happening in terms of information, communication, and technology? What is the access like? The people that work in your organization, do they have access to ICT itself? Do they have the tools to be able to get the work done? What platforms are they using in order to remain connected to you and do business well, but also connected to the customer base? How are you maintaining relationships with the use of technology? The economy, it becomes a crucial factor to be able to pay attention to. We look at what's happening in the global space, but it's also important to look at opportunities that have come through with the Africa Free Trade platform that has been made available for us. So continental markets are becoming all the more open for us. And we know that as a country, we have been counting ourselves as a gateway to the continent. If that be the case, we need to be able to make our business relevant to the needs of the continent. At a political level, you would fully appreciate that there are a lot of things that have to do with service delivery or lack thereof that local government, provincial government, and national government are battling with. It's going to be a year of elections, and therefore how organizations are gearing themselves up, political organizations that is, will play a big part in terms of how you do your business and how your organization becomes relevant. Because the state of the nation, the state of the province, the state of the city has a bearing on what you do. But obviously what has become all the more critical is how each of the key levels of government have been responding to COVID-19. At the same time, the question is how business has been supportive of the efforts of the state around COVID-19. In the legal space, it is important to be able to appreciate legislation specifically relevant to your sector and to your industry, as well as the amendments that are being brought through to those legislations so as to facilitate, among others, transformation. You are in this program in part because ESD and CDP are processes that have been put in place to bring about transformation in your own sector. Ecological factors become vital because all the more there is a yearning to be able to see a growth in clean energy. There is a push for renewable energy as a way of looking after the planet and the environment within which we live. Therefore, it is crucial to be able to check how your business contributes to the reputation of the enterprise that you work with and how it contributes to the sector within which you operate. Corporate social responsibility becomes all the more important because you're a responsible corporate citizen. The additional area that I've brought through to what is traditionally referred to as pastel is health. It is becoming all the more important that every day when we engage with our colleagues, we check in. We check on the well-being of our staff members. We check on the well-being of their family members because much of the work we do is being done from home. We have percentages varying where we have 30% working from home, 70% working in the office, or 50-50, or whatever the ratios are as per the proclamations that come through with lockdown requirements. It becomes all the more important for us to ensure that we are monitoring the employee well-being, also monitoring mental health. The final area for us to be able to look into is demographic. Now, often this gets to be melded up with social aspect, but I want you to be able to look into the changing workforce profile that you have. Most likely, most of the people that you have inside your organization will be part of what's referred to as Generation Y or the millennials. But you also are finding that you've got interns who are coming into your organization who are part of what's referred to as Gen Z. When you look into the demands and the expectations of Y generation or millennials and Z generation, you will immediately realize that there is a strong propensity to want to work with technology. Is your business purely geared around that? But you also will come to appreciate that the whole story around work-life balance is referred to and seen in a different manner. How is your business set up for that? You are building your business with the intention of growing it and grow it to a point where you are ready. If at some point somebody made an offer for your business, you could be able to sell it because it has been well prepared and it renders a service that others find as extremely crucial. And therefore, they will be prepared to pay top dollar or top rand for it. So, this section is really about us conducting a SWOT analysis. It's part of confronting our brutal facts. I'd like for you to be able to look into this and start from the outside in. Mostly, when you look into SWOT, it is inside out. But I'd like for you to be able to begin from the outside in. Look into what are the opportunities that have arisen, not only out of the ESD process, but in the industry, in South Africa, in the globe. What are the opportunities that are there? What are the threats that are there facing your enterprise? If you can spend some time working on those, you are bound to be able to come up with outcomes that that will strengthen your position in the marketplace. Then, looking inside, you start looking into what are the strengths you've been building over the years that, when activated, enable you to become a force to be reckoned with. And finally, start looking into what are the shortcomings, what are the weaknesses. Every armory has got a chink. Where is your chink in your armory? Is there a weakness? Because the strength of every chain is in its weak point. If you can identify the key weaknesses, you will be able to start developing an action plan to turn your weaknesses into strengths so as to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are arising and minimize the impact of the threats in your marketplace. You have weathered some storms up until now. Not all storms that come your way are there for disrupting your life. Of course, when you know somebody who, as a result of pandemic, has not been able to carry on with the work that they had been set out to do, when you know some companies that have folded, you begin to look into the pandemic as a storm that you would rather have not had. Sarai Khumalo, the first African woman to summit Mount Everest, says though that some of the storms we go through are here to clear our path. It may very well be that we begin to look into the things that do matter and separate them from those that do not matter. May the storm of 2021 and COVID-19 clear the path for you to be even more relevant in your industry. As we confront the brutal facts relating to your business, I'd like for us to be able to borrow from Classy, the SWOT analysis tool that has been developed for us. And I would like for you to engage with this because in each of the quadrants, there are 3 key questions that you will want to be able to answer. Starting from outside in, the external elements, opportunities. What fundraising trails do you have to blaze? Which is, you have to be thinking about how you're going to finance your enterprise. Second, you may want to be able to answer, is your organization dedicated to fostering innovation and growth? Yes or no? But you may want to go into a little bit more detail around that. Again, on opportunities, what organizations might strengthen your value proposition through partnerships? You don't necessarily have to go it alone. You can partner with others. And then flip over to the threats. In the threats area, you may want to be able to first answer the questions, what factors put your organization at risk? Because if they're not paid attention to, you may very well find that you are part of the statistic that says 9 out of every 10 businesses fold within the first 5 years of existence. Second question you want to be able to look into, what are the political and environmental issues that surround your cause, what you're about? Are you just backed up because of the BBBE situation, or is there something more? And then you need to be able to answer, do you face any managerial challenges such as high turnover in your day-to-day operations? Just by answering that question, you may very well find that you are able to weather the storms much better. Now, look internally, starting with your weaknesses, because I want to finish strong. From your weaknesses, what areas have you not committed time to up until now? And then, where did you fall short at last year? Capture that. Be frank and honest in your writing. And then, what aspects of your strategies did not have positive return on investment during 2020? Capture those. And then, let's finish strong. As strengths, what is your organization's amazing at? What are you amazing at? Second, what differentiates you from other companies out there that are for profit, serving the same cause that you're involved in? Ignore the fact that it says non-profit. And then finally, do you have a novel approach in doing business? Now, this takes you back to the 4-action framework we had in the Blue Ocean strategy. The last one was about create. So, do you have a novel approach to conducting business? Science wizard Albert Einstein is quoted as stating that he feared the day when technology would surpass our human interaction. Indeed, the last year, almost 2 years actually, have been driven largely by technology. All communication has been brought down to technology. WhatsApp, Instagram, all means of conversation have really been drawn into the technology side. But we need to be able to avoid finding ourselves where we are so dependent on technology that we stop interacting as human beings. It is my hope that when you look at all that has been stated around the fourth industrial revolution and the Internet of Things, you will find a way in which your business can be geared to take advantage of technology and not be driven back by technological advancements. After all, this is still the year which could be your best ever.